They made a lot of Power Rangers. I said they made a lot of Power Rangers. They made a lot of Power Rangers, but what about characters that are not Power Rangers? Hi everyone, I'm True Soul, and this is my wish list for Power Rangers Lightning Collection, Allies and Enemies. Now, right off the bat, some of you are probably wondering what I mean by allies and enemies. Well, when I've been looking at the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, one thing I've noticed is that anyone that's a Power Ranger is more or less a shoo-in for getting a figure made of them. You're more likely to get a figure made of you if you're a straight-up Power Ranger. However, characters that aren't likely are those who aren't necessarily Power Rangers. Either the Power Rangers villains or certain allies that have helped the Power Rangers but aren't actually Power Rangers themselves. And I know they've made a few. They made like Magna Defender, who he's not technically a Power Ranger. And of course, yeah, they made villains like Goldar and Rita and Zed. But there are a lot of other people out there in the Power Ranger franchise that aren't Power Rangers that I would very much like them to make figures of. And that's what we're going to go through today. Now, this is just my personal opinion. I have 10 different characters on my wish list, and they're in no particular order, so I'm just going to go down my list right now. Starting off with Ninjor from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, as a kid, I remember when they came out with the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, the movie, I think it was. And that thing, there was this like evil globby guy. I think his name was Ivan Ooze, and he like destroyed the Power Rangers' swords and stuff. So they had to go to some island where they met this like weird jungle-looking lady, and she like gave them their new powers. Yeah, well, that didn't happen in the show. In the show, Ninjor gave them their powers. And Ninja was always such a memorable character. I always remember him. He'd be like, would be floating like on his cloud or whatever when he'd come down with the Rangers. And his voice sounded so funny. Oh man, that Ninja was just such a great guy. It actually makes me sad that they never really did anything with Ninjor after the initial episodes that he was in Mighty Morphin. It would have been cool to see him come back in like future Power Ranger shows and like help the Rangers, because you know Ninjor is a ninja, so you know it would have been cool to see him like come back and like help Ninja Storm or Ninja Steel or you know ninjas. But yeah, Ninjor is definitely a character that I would love Lightning Collection to make a figure of. Moving up on down the list, I have Phantom Ranger, which I believe was from Space. Space is in Power Rangers in Space, which Power Rangers in Space is probably my favorite Power Rangers, like in the whole series. I just love that show so much. The theme song, the characters, the Red Ranger Andros, Ultimate. But let me not get too far off track. There's a Phantom Ranger. Now, some of you might be thinking, look, Ranger's in his name, so technically he's a Ranger. Well, yeah, but come on, guys. I mean, does he really look like a Ranger to you? The only times we saw him, he was always in that weird suit. He didn't have a morpher or anything. So I'm counting him for my list. Now, you guys can argue amongst yourself in the comment section whether or not Phantom Ranger is actually a Ranger. But as far as my list goes, I'm not counting him as an actual Ranger. Now, the thing about the Phantom Ranger that I like so much is, you know, he was this kind of mysterious guy. We never really learned that much about him, which in some ways made me kind of mad because I would have liked to know a little bit more about the Phantom Ranger. But back when I used to watch Power Rangers in Space, it felt like after a while the Phantom Ranger just stopped showing up. And they never really explained where he went, which I was like, Phantom Ranger, where'd you go? Where'd you go, Phantom Ranger? But yeah, man, the Phantom Ranger was always a pretty cool guy, and I would really also like them to make a figure of him. Yes, I know the word Ranger is literally in his name, but Phantom Ranger never felt like a Ranger to me. That's why I'm adding him in my list. So let's go ahead and move on to the next character, which is Decker from Power Rangers Samurai. I don't know if it was just the fact that they had the actor that played as Cole in Wild Force was the actor who portrayed Decker is why I liked him so much, or just his kind of like lone Ronin kind of attitude towards him, because he was always so he wasn't necessarily a bad guy, but he wasn't a good guy either. He just wanted like a worthy challenge, He'd always be trying to challenge Jaden, try to fight him. That one fight that they had with Decker versus Jaden, it was probably one of the best fights of that series, the Samurai series. And Decker, probably second to Jaden and Antonio, in my opinion, were the best thing to come out of that show. Was Decker. He was just a really cool guy. Now I do want a figure of him in his Nylok form, but I also think it would be cool if they made a figure of him in his I don't know what you call it. I guess you call it civilian form. I guess the form that he with the coat and with the like coat and everything, when he's like in his normal human form. I think that would also make a good figure. So I'd really like a figure of Decker. Really cool character. Alright, moving on to my next one is Tenaya 7 from RPM. It's weird because there's not a whole lot of villains in Power Rangers that aren't like monsters or robots, like people wearing suits, Like, there's very few villains that are actual, like, you can clearly see that they're human people. And Tenaya, also with a handful of other people, is one of those people that you can clearly see this is a human being kind of person. Of course, in the show she was a cyborg, but you guys know what I mean. A really cool character. I kind of like how they did her story arc with her being Dylan's long lost sister, and the whole story arc that they had with that. I thought that was like really cool. RPM was also another good Power Ranger show. Just overall, just good stuff. Had good villains, good characters, good character development. Just really like that show a lot. And I think having a figure of Tenaya would be pretty cool. Because the cool thing about Tenaya is, for your display or whatever, you could have her fighting the Rangers, or maybe you could have it where she's like, decide not to listen to Vengex anymore and help the Rangers, whatever you want right there. I think later on in the series they made like another, it was the same character, I think like Tenaya 13 or whatever. It was pretty much the same character. I don't really mind whichever way they want to make her look, if they want to give her the visor or have like where she has like doesn't have the visor, maybe have like an interchangeable head or something like that. I'm pretty okay with whatever version of Tenaya 7 they would give us, but Tenaya 7 would also be a great addition to the Lightning Collection. Alright, moving on. Next is Korag from Mystic Force. Guys, when you have a purple knight with a sword and a shield, like, guys, you gotta make a figure of that. Korag was always a pretty worthy opponent for the Mystic Rangers. And they have that whole crazy twist with him being Nick's father, which I thought was pretty crazy. Talk about a Darth Vader moment. But yeah, having a Korag would be pretty awesome. I don't know why, when I think of Korag, I always think of if any of you play Soul Calibur, I always think of Nightmare. Because I think it's mostly just because the purple, big, bulky purple armor. But yeah, would really like to have a Korag. Korag might be one of my favorite Power Ranger villains, so would definitely like to have one of him. It would also be cool if they made like a red variant, because I know the red variant, I think that's when he changed back into Liembo. But it would actually be cool to have a red version of that too. I might end up getting a purple one and a red one if they were to make them. So yeah, also really cool. Alright guys, let's move on to another personal favorite, Renzik from Time Force. Now the thing about Renzik, the thing I always liked about Renzik is when Renzik would come out on the scene, he would be obliterating the Rangers. And he probably would have killed the Rangers, but then he always started getting sick and feeling weak, and then he would have to take his serum. So he'd have to retreat. I'd be like, man, Renzik could kill the Rangers, but he keep on getting sick and stuff. So, but also a really great character. I probably mostly want him not so much for aesthetic, because in terms of, I wouldn't necessarily say Renzik looks cool, but he was such a good villain that, I mean, you have to make a figure of him. He's like one of the best, guys. Like, come on. All right, moving on to my next one. I have Daishi from Jungle Fury. Now, the thing about Daishi, I like almost everything about Daishi. I like the way he looks. I like the attacks they be making him do. The voice actor that they got for him was awesome. Everything about Daishi is just really cool. Now, I mean, if they want to give us like maybe a Jared variant of Daishi, I would be okay with that. If they made both, I would most likely get both. But if I had to choose between one or the other, I'd most likely choose the armored, like Black Lion version of Daishi. Very cool character. Really liked him a lot in Jungle Fury. All right, and my next one on my list is Lothor from Ninja Storm. Lothor was always a pretty funny villain. I always thought the voice of Lothor, I always thought was kind of funny. He didn't really sound evil. He sounded like some type of, I don't know, it sounded like some type of, like, I don't know, some big evil, like, business guy or whatever. But he was a really powerful, really dangerous guy. It literally took everything the Ninja Rangers had to defeat him in the end. So yeah, really liked Lothor a lot. I remember growing up, I actually used to have a Lothor action figure. Me and my brother used to have a Lothor action figure, but you know, those action figures back then didn't really have a lot of good articulation, and that Lothor that we had, the only part of his body that could move was his arms could move up and down, and his head could move. I think that was it. So yeah, it's definitely time for an upgrade when it comes to Lothors, guys. All right, the next one on my list is Robo Knight from Megaforce, Super Megaforce. Probably the only thing I really liked about that series was Robo Knight. Robo Knight was always trying to protect the environment and all that good stuff, you know. Sometimes he would just like not want to work with the Rangers because he's, you know, going off trying to do his own thing, protect the environment or whatever. But yeah, really simplistic but cool character. Really like his aesthetic a lot. And yeah, I didn't really care much for the Megaforce show, but definitely want a Robo Knight. That would be a very cool character to have. Alright guys, this is the last one for my list, and that is Astronema from Power Rangers in Space. That's right guys, we're going back to space. And one thing I really liked about Astronema, at that time in the Power Ranger franchise, I think she might have been the first villain that like turned good later. Which I really liked her story arc a lot, because it turned out she was Andros's long lost sister, and like she got like adopted by who is that big evil bad guy? I can't remember what his name was, Dark Sector or whatever his name was, which was pretty much the big evil lava monster from the from the Power Rangers Turbo movie. But yeah, but I really liked Astronema a lot. She ended up turning good, and then she became a Power Ranger later on, which was pretty awesome. So, really great character. There's not necessarily a specific kind of Astronema that I would like. I know that I think she had changed her hair at some point in the series. But You know, I actually wouldn't really mind either way, whichever version of Astronomer that they want to give us. I would be perfectly okay with that because it's Astronomer, guys. You know, gotta have some epic battles between her and Andros. Did they make an Andros yet? No? Okay. Well, guys, that's gonna do it for my list. Once again, this is just my personal opinion, of course, and I'm actually really interested in what you guys, what type of characters that aren't Power Rangers that you guys would like the Power Rangers Lightning Collection to make. But yeah, guys, it's been a while since I did one of these wish lists. I was thinking about doing a wish list of like what Power Ranger characters they should make civilian versions of, which that would be really interesting. So be sure you comment down below if you'd like to see something like that. And that's gonna do it for me, guys. Be sure to follow me on my Twitter, as you'll stay updated whenever I have plans to upload a video. And also, if you're into photography of figures, go check out my Instagram, where I post all different kinds of collection photos there, many of which you do not see in my videos. Alright, guys, until then, be sure to like, subscribe, and go to my channel to check out other videos. Catch you later.